Then I turned to see the voice that was speaking to me, and on turning I saw 7 golden lampstands. And in the midst of the lampstands, one like a son of man, clothed with a long robe and with a golden sash around his chest. The hairs of his head were white, like white wool, like snow. His eyes were like a flame of fire. His feet were like burnished bronze refined in a furnace, and his voice was like the roar of many waters. In his right hand he held 7 stars. From his mouth came a sharp 2-edged sword, and his face was like the sun shining in full strength. When I saw him, I fell at his feet as though dead, but he laid his right hand upon me, saying, "Fear not, I am the first and the last, and the living one. I died, and behold, I am alive for evermore, and I have the keys of death and Hades." I saw a beast rising out of the sea with 10 horns and 7 heads, with 10 diadems on its horns and blasphemous names on its head. And the beast that I saw was like a leopard. Its feet were like a bear's, and its mouth was like a lion's mouth. And to it the dragon gave his power and his throne and great authority. One of its heads seemed to have a mortal wound, but its mortal wound was healed, and the whole earth marvelled as they followed the beast. And they worshipped the dragon, for he had given his authority to the beast. They worshipped the beast, saying, "Who is like the beast, and who can fight against it?" And the beast was given a mouth, uttering haughty and blasphemous words, and it was allowed to exercise authority for 42 months. It opened its mouth to utter blasphemies against God, blaspheming his name and his dwelling, that is, those who dwell in heaven. Also, it was allowed to make war on the saints and to conquer them, and authority was given it over every tribe and people and language and nation. And all who dwell on earth worship it, everyone whose name has not been written before the foundation of the world in the book of life of the Lamb who was slain. If anyone has an ear, let him hear. If anyone is to be taken captive, to captivity he goes. If anyone is to be slain with the sword must he be slain. Here is a call for the endurance and faith of the saints. Then I saw another beast rising out of the earth. It had 2 horns like a lamb, and it spoke like a dragon. It exercises all the authority of the first beast in its presence, and makes the earth and its inhabitants worship the first beast, whose mortal wound was healed. It performs great signs, even making fire come down from heaven to earth in front of the people, and by the signs that it is allowed to work in the presence of the beast, it deceives those who dwell on earth. Tell them to make an image for the beast that was wounded by the sword and yet lived. And it was allowed to give breath to the image of the beast, so that the image of the beast might even speak, and might cause those who would not worship the image of the beast to be slain. Also it causes all, both small and great, both rich and poor, both free and slain, to be marked on the right hand or the forehead, so that no one can buy or sell unless he has the mark, that is, the name of the beast or the number of its name. This calls for wisdom. Let the one who has understanding calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. See, people are hopping up and down, claiming, how many people have been calling Trump a messiah? As if he's Jesus Christ, and they're praying over him, and That was Revelation chapter 1, verses 12 to 13. And the entire of chapter 13. A two-edged sword. What does a double-edged sword do? It cuts both ways, correct? The two-edged sword is supposed to be smite and truth. He comes with a double-edged sword to smite thee to hell. With his words. Now, does Christ work through people? Or does he come down here and get his hands dirty? For the longest time, I have honestly believed that we as a whole are to bring Christ back. The horse is a noble steed, yes? If Jesus rides a fierce, noble steed, then that must mean that it is something that can carry weight and is noble, honourable. Believe me, I'm far from a church minister. This is my interpretation of what I'm reading. Because we all know that the physical real estate agent that calls itself church has spent the last 2,000 years using this against God's people, God's children. Using it against the real church, the people. Church, here is the steeple, look inside and there's the people. The people are the church, the people of the church, not the real estate. Churches burn down, people support one another. I saw a beast rising out of the sea with 10 horns and 7 heads, with 10 diadems on its horns and blasphemous names on its head. The 7-nation army. War. On its head seemed to have a mortal wound, but its mortal wound was healed, and the whole earth marvelled as they followed the beast. America is uniting 7 nations, which seems to heal it. The double-edged sword is uniting 7 nations, which seems to heal the beast, America. This is just my interpretation, okay? Don't take it as gospel truth. This is what I'm feeling. Not just feeling, it just seems logical given the evidence before us. Since that they want to use this against us, we must use it for us. It's your script, isn't it? It's script yours? Scriptures? It's a script. You must not curse, which means not to judge in the name of God. Only God has that right. We cannot damn people in the name of God. We can save people in the name of God, but not damn. America is giving birth to a whole new economy. One economy is giving birth to the second economy, the two beasts. And there is a mark of the beast. So the beast system has been around for a long, long time. First beast gives birth to the second beast. But the second beast you must take of a mark in order to be able to use it. And if you don't use it, you have to be damned. You cannot buy, trade or sell. You cannot take care of your family, they say. So they say. Now, you'll notice if you go back a few times, and this is where I also agree with Bear. This is where I agree with Bear. I don't disagree with everything he says. I think his heart is hardening, is all. He's starting to get a little bit too comfortable with righteous anger, righteous violence. There's righteous anger, but is there righteous violence? There's definitely righteous defence. Keep your sword sheathed. He who has no cloak, he who has a cloak and no sword, sell his cloak to buy a sword. He who has two cloaks, sell it and buy two. I think you'll find that is so that he who has no cloak and no sword may have a sword. But keep your sword sheathed. Why would you need a sword if you're not going to take it out? You keep it sheathed unless you need it to defend yourself, and then you put it back in its sheath. Do not be the antagonist. Do not start, but definitely finish. If you want to go back to the commandments, the original commandments in Torah, says thou shalt not do murder. It does not say thou shalt not kill. Otherwise, how do you have protein? How do you have meat? How can they say that at the same time as making blood sacrifice? And blood sacrifice means to sacrifice a lamb so that everyone may eat. Take care of your church. Take care of your community. So like I say, where I agree with Bear, I do believe that this is going to grow by a third. I think we are writing a third testament right now. It's a revelation. It's a revelation. It doesn't necessarily mean an end for everything and everyone. An end for some. An end of a beast system, an end of evil, an end of tyranny, an end of the commandments taught as doctrine, the commandments of men taught as doctrine, indoctrination. A time to get back to law and get rid of this legislation bullshit. Evil cannot get a foothold where it is not allowed, where it is shunned, where it is banished, where it is not given the light of day. It must stay away. We walk away from the demons, we walk away from hell, and they can have hell to themselves, and we can have heaven on earth. They damn themselves. And at that point, that's mic drop.